What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. Lots of news breaking, and probably the end of the news cycle for the trial of the century. Now, allegedly, some of the jurors are speaking out and sharing what they thought, why they decided the way that they did. One of them comes from an anonymous TikTok video, which, again, it's impossible to it's really impossible to say if it was them or not. I mean, we have pictures. We know kind of like the demographics, of the jury. People in the room know what the jury looks like. And so if they had used their face, there would be, a couple of hundred people out there who would be able to confirm or deny it. But as of right now, we have that. We also have some other stories coming out, and it turns out, at least according to a potential juror, that everything she said just came out as absolute bologna sausage. You have this article, Johnny juror breaks silence in new videos. Everything she said came off as BS. A man who claims to be a juror in the case has shared massive behind-the-scenes details in a series of videos. Now, jurors can talk about it. They're fully allowed to. But, ultimately, it's their choice whether or not they want to, and if they want to put themselves. There's so much social media clout and so many interviews, and there's money to be made here. I'm going to guess that several of the jurors will be doing book tours and press tours and, paid interviews and things of that nature. Making sure to go out there and spill all the tea. By the way, coffeebrandcoffee.com is my coffee company, and teas will be launching next Friday. So in like 6 or 7 days from now, we're going to have 6 different teas, including an iced tea option. And we also have 6 coffee blends and 3 hot cocos right now on the website. So if you want to support the channel and get some amazing coffee, head on over to coffeebrandcoffee.com. Just read the reviews, and you'll know. It's not just a, hey, buy this coffee with my name on it. It's really good stuff. And I would really appreciate it. And I know you're going to like it. A man claiming to be a juror in the case has shared massive insights in the high-profile trial, describing the actress as, quote, a crazy woman who made him extremely uncomfortable. Man who asked to remain anonymous revealed incredible details about the jury's deliberations in a series of TikTok videos. Now, if you've been following the trial, you know that TikTok, I mean, there are billions of views. People on TikTok were obsessed with the trial. Shout out to them. Appreciate them. I don't use TikTok, but whatever. He also provided footage of his jury form as a badge of proof that was in fact a juror. In the video, the man states that he couldn't believe her testimony, saying it would just come off like BS. He also claimed she gaslit Depp and that she could never admit that she was wrong. The quote juror then described revelations that she had failed to donate her $7 million to two different charities, despite swearing on her oath that she had, as the moment he realized she was lying about more. Now, I've seen this video. I've seen the quote-unquote evidence of them being a juror. It doesn't seem, I'm not going to go ahead and give them any kind of clout because it doesn't really prove that they were a juror on this particular trial. It's possible, certainly if somebody is out there that wants to email me anonymously and share some information, but be able to prove that they were actually a juror on this trial, that would be a thing, In his first video, which has gone viral on TikTok, the man said he felt he was an impartial juror. So today was my last day of being a juror on this trial, he said in the video. I wish to remain anonymous, but I thought I'd give some insight on my thoughts about it. I don't follow pop culture too much, so haven't really been a fan of either one of them, so I feel like I was pretty unbiased about the whole thing. The man went on to say that he felt extremely uncomfortable with how stared intently at them while she was on stand. But from the very beginning, when she was testifying, everything seemed so off with how she kept making eye contact with me, and it made me extremely uncomfortable, he said, to where I would no longer look over at her when she was giving her answers. I would just listen intently, and everything she was saying would come off as fake BS. I wasn't following anything on TikTok during the whole trial, and I was scrolling through after the trial, and it blows my mind how every single person seems to be commenting on how weird it was. So good news for Johnny. That was my gut feeling after all the information of the trial. But what a crazy woman. Goes on. In the second video, the quote juror gave more insights into his feelings about her. I'm trying to view this from a place of empathy and understanding, he said. I'm not sure if you guys noticed how much she was gaslighting Johnny. She could never admit she was wrong. By the way, using the term gaslighting is like a millennial term, or even like a Zoomer term, so that kind of makes me a little nervous. There were some younger jurors, and of course there are people out there that know this word, but again, this is a major clout grab for everybody, so I feel like it's my responsibility to you, as somebody who's covering this, to be fair and impartial. It could, everything this person is saying, it's a man, and because I've seen the videos, could be entirely true, but also, because they did not prove that they are who they say they are, it could just be an attempt to get a ton of views. So anyway, and I feel like we as humans naturally take our own personal truths to the grave when we can't admit that we are wrong. He also responded to claims from her lawyer that the jurors had potentially accessed social media during the trial, breaking jury rules. So I feel that's what her team is going to do now. Doing a smear campaign to not admit that they were guilty, he said, because if they were just to cower down and accept the verdict in a way to the public eye, so it would be seen as an admission of guilt. So I think this is just a way of trying to claw and tooth their way into trying to save dignity in some form for her. Answering a question about why she received the $2 million. In another video, the quote juror explained why they chose to award the $2 million. So she was awarded $2 million in the case for a couple of different reasons, he said. One, if you remember, she was also suing JD in this defamation trial due to the statements made by his lawyers, who were stating that she faked the apartment disarray. Unfortunately, the fact of her doing that or not doing that could not be proven. But it could be proved that he did defame her in ways due to the statement made by his lawyers. He then added, so you might be wondering, why not just award him $13 million instead of $15 million and giving her $2 million? Well, it comes down to accountability and holding both parties accountable for what was done wrong. In the comments, the juror then explained why they hadn't awarded the full $50 million he'd been asking for. Quote, unrealistic amount, and not all the jurors agreed on the amounts. We found a happy medium, he said. He also added many jurors wanted to award the $50 million. Sometimes in life, we have to compromise. Now, of course, this is something that is probably likely to be the case in many jury rooms, simply because, people want to go home. This is an inconvenient truth about jury rooms, that there's a lot of compromise that happens in there. It isn't like everyone in there is super concerned about getting it exactly right. I think there becomes a point where people just get over it. Imagine sitting on this trial between two super rich people for 5 weeks. Like, you knew they weren't going to deliberate long because they wanted to get on with their lives. There's also a telling moment. Quote, one user asked a juror, what would you say was the moment you were like, nope, if she's lying about this, she's lying about everything? He replied, I would say it was the donation and pledge to charity. She testified in a UK court that she had donated the $7 million. However, under oath, she admitted that wasn't the case. The juror also shared his criticism about her sister, Whitney, who testified on her behalf. She seemed to be supporting her sister out of obligation and manipulation to me, he said. Didn't seem like she even wanted to be there. Now, everybody could see that who was watching it, Then there's also this article says that, she was not, quote, credible as a witness to the jury. Some legal experts say the 7-person jury in Fairfax County ultimately did not find her credible at all, one expert said. Yeah, I mean, there were so many contradictions in the actual statements that were made. I think that that's very reasonable. The jury should have instead held neither side liable in the suit. But that was written in an opinion piece, adding that there was a lot of evidence in this case to prove why. In other words, no one should have won. Everyone should have lost. In interviews Wednesday, 3 other legal experts said that JD's victory was especially surprising considering he lost a libel case in the UK 2 years ago. God, that was 2 years ago now. Hey, if you're still with me, make sure you click that red subscribe button down below. I know you might have to create an account, but I greatly, greatly appreciate my new subscribers. I don't just cover, obviously, this kind of stuff. I cover tech news. I cover pop culture news. I cover, you know, social media stuff with Elon and all that stuff. So 5 to 6 videos a day, every day. And I appreciate all of you. Now, so of course, we know that he lost. Quote, for a jury to find actual malice in a defamation case like this, it really has to be that they didn't find her credible and they just stopped listening to her. The jury, which began deliberations on Friday, came to its decision after 13 hours only, over 3 days. Legal experts who spoke to NBC News said that there are a myriad of reasons that the jury found her less credible, including how she delivered her testimony and the disparity in quality between legal teams. Factors like their body language at length was at trial could have been played roles in the outcome. Jurors who weren't sequestered could also have been exposed to content related to things on social media. You know, jurors were given a wide latitude to determine the credibility of the witnesses, and that could include not only what a person says, but how they say it. The jury had a lot of time to evaluate her and her testimony. Essentially, she just was not believable. I mean, I watched it. It wasn't believable. So there's that. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been along the ride, you know, for a ride with this. Thanks everyone just for checking out coffeebrandcoffee.com. If nothing else, just head on over there and read the reviews. And you don't have to take my word for it. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.